Welcome to CinePro, where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden details, and everything you missed. Our movie The Thinning begins in the future. Overpopulation has depleted the world's resources, so the United Nations decided that every country must reduce its population by 5% every year. In Texas, students are studying for the exam, which is only a few hours away. Lena, a high school student, sits and helps Simon study, while her younger brother and sister play behind them. Simon gets frustrated because he doesn't understand anything, so she gives him a large sum of money, and she brings him special contact lenses that give him all the answers. Lena reminds him that he must get rid of them after the exam. At that moment, she gets a call from the hospital telling her that her mother wants to be discharged despite the doctor's advice. Lena asks the doctor to delay it a bit and rushes to the hospital with her siblings. There, she finds that her mother has already signed the discharge papers. The doctor takes Lena aside, refuses to take money from her, and tells her that her mother's condition has worsened and there is no treatment that can help her. That night, with only a few hours left before the exam, the governor's son, Blake, tells the guards he's going to the kitchen to get something to eat. But in reality, he sneaks out of the mansion and takes his car to meet his girlfriend, Ellie. Things become awkward between them when they remember they might die in the morning, so they try to distract themselves. Suddenly, one of the guards appears, drags Blake away, and brings him home. Governor Dean blames Blake for wasting time the night before the exam and tells him he should be studying now if he wants to live his life later. Dean considers Ellie just a distraction and says it's not the right time for her until Blake graduates next year. But Blake isn't convinced by his father's words. Still, Dean hugs him before the exam. 3 hours before the exam, the head guards dressed in black surround the school with fences, barbed wire, and cameras, and keep patrolling the place to make sure no one escapes. Simon arrives early, and one of the students accidentally bumps into him, causing his contact lenses to fall. As he tries to find them, one of the guards tells him to keep moving. When the students arrive, they say a sad goodbye to their families. Then the guards ask them to open their bags for inspection and scan their bodies to prevent any cheating. Blake goes to Lena and asks to buy the special lenses, but she tells him she sold the last pair. At that moment, a guard finds a student with invisible answers written on his arm, so the boy runs away. It's the first time someone escapes from the guards, but Kellen, Lena's friend, hacks his father's account to access street cameras and watch how the guards surround the boy and catch him with a net. Kellen makes a copy of the video and sends it to a journalist. After everyone enters, the guards lock down the school. The students go to their classrooms, and the teacher tries to calm and encourage them, telling them there is still hope. Mr. Glass reminds them of the rules. They have 2 hours to finish the exam. Their eyes can't leave the tablet, and all grades are final. The exam begins, and everyone focuses on answering, but it's clear many are struggling. As soon as they finish, they hand in their tablets, and the guards check the results on the computer. The results come out in minutes, and the teachers are heartbroken as they look at the list of the lowest scores. With each name called, the guards drag the student away, and if they resist, they are beaten or forcibly taken. Blake, Kellen, and Lena pass, but Ellie fails and is taken away. Blake calls his father, begging him to save Ellie, but Dean refuses and says the law applies to everyone. Blake gets angry, pushes the students, attacks a guard, grabs a fire extinguisher and hits him with it, then attacks another while screaming for his girlfriend Ellie to run and escape. Ellie runs, but the students block the hallway and the guards catch her and take her to her death. Blake screams as they drag him away. A year passes, and the next exam is 24 hours away. Sarah can't study, so she goes to Mr. Glass, who agrees to give her a good grade in exchange for exploiting her. Meanwhile, Birch visits Lena and her siblings, whose mother has just died. She brings them food and says she wants to support them, especially since her younger siblings have their first exam this year. On her way back, she sees Sarah getting out of Glass's car. At the mansion, Blake records a video on his tablet saying, "If anyone is watching this, it means I am dead." 3 hours before the exam, Lena takes her siblings to school and keeps quizzing them on the way to make sure they're ready. Dean tries to show he's supporting Blake before he leaves, but Blake tells him to save it for another time. One of the guards notices Blake dropping an envelope in the mailbox on his way to school and steals it, taking it to Dean. After a while, the school is completely locked down, and all the students are seated in their places. In the kindergarten classroom, the teacher plays a cartoon video full of propaganda about the importance of the exam to save the planet. Other countries kill adults or reduce births, but America focuses on keeping the smart people to remain great. Then the students receive their tablets, and the exam begins. At that time, Dean finds a video from Blake inside the envelope and realizes he intends to fail on purpose so his father will see him die because of the system he defends. Dean immediately asks the guards to bring Blake home, but no one can leave the school after lockdown. After having the guard leave the room, Dean calls Mason, the head of security at the school. In the classroom, Blake answers quickly and incorrectly, finishing before everyone else, which Glass finds strange. In the kindergarten class, a boy raises his hand and asks for help, but the teacher refuses because a guard is watching her. This time, Mason calculates the results alone instead of a group of guards. The teachers start calling out the names, and the boy who asked for help is taken away, as well as Sarah, who screams when she discovers Glass lied to her. Kellen and Lena's siblings pass, as does Blake, who doesn't understand what happened. Birch cries when she hears Lena's name, not believing it because she's the best student in her class. Mason calls Dean to confirm he made the switch. Blake is shocked as he watches the children being taken away. Birch runs to a guard and asks him to check the results because it's impossible for Lena to fail. The guards call Mason and tell him everything is fine, so Lena must go with the others. While saying goodbye, Birch secretly gives Lena her access card and reminds her there's always a chance. After that, the school holds a party for the people who passed, and Birch notices Glass flirting with another student. At the same time, Dean is at a public event, and his speeches are shown at the party. Everyone applauds him as he explains the improvements he made and says the decisions were hard but necessary. He believes the culling exam isn't bad and calls it an innovation. Dean also announces he will run for office, for the presidency, and Blake doesn't like it and leaves the party. In a special corridor, the people who failed are asked to take off their clothes for purification and are beaten if they don't listen. Lena puts the entry card in her mouth to hide it. Blake reaches the corridor and pretends to be very sick. When the guard checks on him, Blake attacks him and knocks him out with a weapon. At the same time, Keelan logs in again using his father's account and watches the failed students on the cameras, but the situation is painful, so he moves away from the screen. After hiding the unconscious body, Blake waits for Mason to leave the control room and sneaks inside. He tries to use the computer, but it asks for a password. When the guards are about to inject the students, Blake cuts the power to the whole building by messing with the electrical box. Meanwhile, Mason finds the unconscious guard. The electronic cuffs start to fail, and the students try to escape. Chaos takes over the place as guards and students fight. Lena takes advantage of the opportunity and escapes using her card at the door. At the party, the guards tell everyone it's just a normal power problem and take Keelan's father to the control room. While the man is working, Mason goes to check on the students who are cuffed again. Mason thinks, and the guards count the students and notice someone is missing in the corridor. Lena almost bumps into a guard, but disappears among the lockers at the right moment. She tries to open another door with the card, but the door won't open. At that moment, the guard finds her, so she takes advantage of the darkness and pretends to be Birch. As soon as the guard follows her, she attacks him and tries to fight, but the guard is stronger and starts kicking her. Suddenly, Blake appears, grabs the guard, and uses the element of surprise to knock him out. After that, Blake admits he failed on purpose, and Lena notices something strange in all the results. Blake then triggers the alarm so all the guards come to the corridor, and he and Lena hide in the vents. Mason announces that the school will stay closed until they find Lena, and he doesn't care that the kids are supposed to have returned to their families by now. In the vents, Blake blames Lena for selling the lenses to the desperate kids because he sees it as exploiting their fears. Lena explains that she only did it to pay for her mother's medical expenses, and Blake immediately apologizes. She also admits she used to like Blake before. At the governor's house, a reporter asks Dean about the long school shutdown, and Dean pretends everything is under control. After the interview, he checks the news and discovers his friend Keelan. The reporter is standing in front of the school, covering the crisis and interviewing worried parents. At the same time, Mason makes all the teachers prove they have their entry cards. When it's Birch's turn, he gets a call from Dean, who yells at him to solve the problem quickly. Back to Blake and Lena. They keep moving in the vents. Suddenly, the ceiling collapses, and Blake falls into the pool. Lena jumps in immediately and swims quickly to save him while he's unconscious. Luckily, Lena knows first aid and manages to revive him. After that, they go to the lockers and change into dry clothes. Lena finds another vent opening so they can continue. At the party, some students try to leave, but the guards beat them, so Keelan starts filming and sends the video to the journalist. A few minutes later, Lena and Blake reach the corridor in front of the server room, and Lena's card falls out of her pocket. The guards hear a sound, so Blake covers her mouth, and they wait until the men pass by. Luckily, in the darkness, the guards don't see the card. Then they go to the science classroom, and the noise they make getting down is heard by one of the guards. Lena gathers some items and makes a stick with a magnet to get the card. At that moment, the guard arrives and knocks on the locked door, so Blake sends Lena back into the vent and stays to create a distraction. Blake tries to hide behind the tables, but the guard enters quickly and sees him. And then Blake collapses unconscious on the floor. In the vent, Lena waits for the guards to move and lowers the magnet, manages to grab the card and lift it, but suddenly the guard pulls it and it turns out to be Blake who stole it from the guard who fell. At the same time, the guard from the previous fight tells Simon that there are two teenagers on the run, and one of them used the name Birch. In another room, the teachers are still waiting. Birch pretends to be weaving glass and steals the entry card. When Mason comes to check on her, Birch gives him Glass's card as if it's hers. The guards notice that Glass's card is missing, so he's locked up and the other teachers are allowed to leave. Mason starts beating Glass, asking about the location of the runaway teenagers. Meanwhile, Lena enters the vent to the server room and tries to use the computer, but the exam program asks for a password. Mason sends a message to Keelan asking for help. At that moment, Keelan's father finishes the electrical repairs, and the power returns. Keelan gets Wi-Fi, receives Lena's message, and sends her a video of Mason entering the password earlier. Lena copies the password and enters the exam system and starts checking that her siblings passed. Then she checks her own result and finds she got 98% but still failed, and Blake passed with 5%. The same thing happened to Ellie, who failed with 88%. It's clear that Dean has been tampering with the results for a while. Meanwhile, Dean appears at a press conference and says that Lena killed 2 guards after failing the exam. The guards were working to keep everyone safe. At the same time, Keelan sends his journalist friend a video of the guard beating the students who tried to leave, and the video is immediately broadcast on national TV. Lena feels this is all from Keelan and sends him some screenshots of the manipulated exam results. Unfortunately, Mason finally sees her on the surveillance cameras and raises the alarm, so she starts running. Mason and the school guards quickly surround her, and she tries to say she has evidence that she actually passed, but she's arrested anyway. At that time, Blake finds the students' room and pretends he has orders to move them. The other guards find this strange because no one told them anything, so Blake has no choice but to start a fight. He barely manages to land a few punches before the guards surround and overpower him as well. At the party, Keelan receives the screenshot and sends it to the journalist, and she immediately appears live on TV announcing her discovery. She comments on how suspicious it looks that a politician's son benefited from this. At the palace, Dean's team starts to fall apart. They think they should end the mission and let Lena go, but Dean says he still has one last step. A little later, Lena is cuffed with the other failed students, and the guards prepare the injections. Mason calls Dean to ask for permission, but Dean stops him and says they need to review the list. The students who actually passed were released, and Lena ran to kiss Blake while he was tied up. Some guards pulled her away, and the others went to the party to bring the students who had actually failed. One after another, the students were given strange injections and fell unconscious. The school finally opened, and the students' families gathered with their children. Lena ran to meet her siblings, whom the teacher had been worried about. The families whose children did not return were upset, their eyes filled with tears in the place. After a while, Dean appeared on television again and pretended that Maysoon was behind everything, acting out his love for his dead son and still insisting that even he was not above the law. Then a car arrived at an illegal technology factory. To Blake's great shock, he woke up alive and well because the injections were just a temporary anesthetic. The other students were also alive, and when they looked around, they discovered the students who had failed years ago working in the factory. Another shock came when Blake saw Ellie still alive and in excellent health. We hope you enjoyed the story with us. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and support us with a like and share. See you soon in a new movie. Goodbye.